son.
And now Mass is starting.
Bless Kristen and bless his whole family and all of us who gather here together today as we mourn, looking to you for guidance, for strength, for peace. Bless each and every one of us this day as we make this final journey with our brother David.
We sing together number 757, Amazing Grace. Our hymnals are on the side of the pews. 757.
And let us pray. God our Father, we ask you to strengthen us with your presence and walk with us step by step as we make this journey with our brother David. Console us and strengthen us with your word, with your wisdom, with the love that you share with us, the love that you have shared with us through your son, David, and the love that we share with each other as a family. We ask all this through your name. Amen.
A reading from the book of Ecclesiastes. There is an appointed time for everything, and a time for every affair under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot the plant, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to be far from embraces, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. God has made everything appropriate to its time. Whatever God does will endure forever. There is no adding to it or taking from it. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Dave would have hated this. It would mean dragging out his Class A uniform, shining his shoes, and washing the white gloves in the sink. You know, he was never one who called attention to himself. It was always about everybody else. His life was living for others, and he made that his purpose in life. There is an appointed time for everything, time for every purpose under the heavens, a time to be born. Francine and Martin, when you welcomed your son into the world, you gave him and you gave us a great blessing. You taught him what was important: family, faith, love, service. Where he got that stubborn gene in his system, we don't know. But you taught him well. It's a time to love. 1987 was a magical year. 2 young kids in high school sweethearts. Now, most people would probably think, oh, it's just puppy love. Well, Dave was a bulldog. And he pursued you, Kristen, as you did him. And from that, oh my gosh, what a chapter you wrote in his life and yours. 6 years together dating, 32 years of marriage. Incredible. Incredible. And for you, Mike and Haley, Alyssa and Caitlin, You were and are the most precious things in his life. And though you are the ones who gave him his greatest joy, how much he loved you and wanted only the best for you. There wasn't anything he wouldn't do to help you and to watch over you and to turn you in to the great young adults that you are today. And you want to know when I say he would do anything? You probably remember when you were little girls, you decided to do your nails one day. And so the girls said to David, let us do your nails. And, you can imagine what he was thinking but didn't say. But he said, no, but you can do my toes. And so they did. Well, the next day he was on shift. You see where this is going, huh? And they came back from a fire and they were soaking wet, so they were changing clothes and they were in the locker room, and he took off his socks. And there they were, 10 hot pink digits. Sounds like a James Brown song. And firefighters and paramedics are merciless when it comes to the foibles of their coworkers. So I imagine that was probably the longest day Dave ever had in a firehouse. He taught all of us that love knew no bounds. But he also had another love and another family that was so very important to him. And that was his Chicago Fire Department. When he joined in 1996, his life was forever changed. He had discovered a new meaning and a new purpose in his life. And so, for the next 28 and a half years, he mastered the art and the science of firefighting, serving on some of the busiest and best companies in this city. Dave Meyer knew the mean streets of Chicago, but that would never deter him from what his calling was and what he wanted to do. And yes, Dave Meyer did it right, and he did it well. And it would be 5 years later that choice of becoming a firefighter, that choice to serve God's people the way he did, would take a new focus. While all of us watched in horror on September 11th, those Twin Towers come down, most of us, I suspect, were frozen in place. Frozen by shock, frozen by fear, frozen by anger. But Dave Meyer knew what he had to do. And so he packed up his gear, got in his car, and he wasn't invited nor was he ordered, but he headed straight for New York. And there he stayed for days on end, digging, looking, praying, hoping to find or to rescue the thousands of people buried in the collapse, especially his 343 brothers of the FDNY. Those days of frantically trying to find anything were life-altering for him. But they could never change who he was at his core. The devastation he witnessed and the devastation he felt transformed him. It made him appreciate every second, every minute of life and what life is for. He became a better son, better brother, better husband, better father, better friend, and a better fireman. In 2002, pastor and author Rick Warren wrote a book called The Purpose-Driven Life. And in this book, he talks about what we are called to do as God's people, what we are chosen to do as God's people. And this is what he wrote. Time is your most precious gift because you only have a set amount of it. You can make more money, but you can't make more time. When you give someone your time, you are giving them a portion of your life that you will never get back. Your time is your life. That is why the greatest gift you can give someone is your time. And didn't he do just that? Whether we're in the backyard grilling or sitting by the pool, up at the lake, driving the boat all around, sitting on the pier, teaching his children how to fish, getting on his motorcycle, going 240 with his hair on fire throughout the country, bugs in his teeth. He didn't care. Life was meant to be lived. God put him on this earth so that he could do God's very work, and he did it well, and he lived it fully. There is a time to live and a time to die. We can't make sense today of the latter, but we can honor Dave if we abide by the former. You see, heroes are not made by how they died. They're made by how they chose to live their lives, to give their time, to have a purpose in serving other people. There's a author, Raymond Chandler, who writes mystery novels. And in describing one of his characters in one of his books, he wrote this: "Down these mean streets, a man must go who is not himself mean, who is neither tarnished nor afraid. He is our hero. He is everything. He must be a complete man and a common man, and yet an unusual man. He must be, to use a rather weathered phrase, a man of honor, by instinct, by inevitability, without thought of it, and certainly without saying it. He must be the best man in his world, and a good enough man for any world. The best man in his world, they don't get as good as Dave Meyer. A good enough man for any world, now he is with his Lord. A good, honest servant of God. In that other world where he'll know only peace and joy is his now to live.
I would invite forward Commissioner Annette Nance Holt, please.
Good morning. Today we gather not just to mourn, but to express our deep respect and gratitude as we honor the life and sacrifice of Captain David John Meyer of Truck 29, who created a legacy that words alone can hardly capture through his service to the city and all of us. He was a devoted husband to Kristen, a proud father to Michael, Haley, Alyssa, and Caitlin, and a loving papa to Emerson. He was a loyal son to Francine and Martin, and a faithful brother to Brandon. To all of us in the Chicago Fire Department, he was also family, a brother in service, a leader, a friend, a protector. For over 28 years, Captain Meyer dedicated his life to the service of others. Every call he answered, every fire he fought, and every life he saved were accomplished with courage that was quiet yet unwavering. It was quiet, and with a heart that recognized humanity behind every emergency. He led not only with strength, but with compassion, not just with his words, but by setting an example by his deeds. David embodied the values we hold most dear: duty, honor, and sacrifice. He understood that the badge is more than just a symbol. It's a promise to stand between danger and safety, and to put others first, even at great personal risk. In the end, David kept that promise, as he always did, bravely, selflessly, and without hesitation. There is no greater act of love and no higher calling. Today we grieve, we mourn a tremendous loss to his family, his brothers, and sisters in the fire department, and the city he served so faithfully. Yet even as we grieve, we should lift our heads in pride, knowing that Captain David Meyer walked this earth with purpose and he left all of us better for having been here. He touched each and every one of us here today. To Kristen, Michael, Haley, Alyssa, Caitlin, Emerson, and all of Dave's family, know that you will always have a home in the Chicago Fire Department, and we're praying for you. We have everybody praying for you. As we work to David, we are all family too, and we will walk beside you in the days ahead, because I know they will be hard. They will be hard, but we'll be there with you. To all the members of Battalion 18, Engine 96, Truck 29, Battalion 7, Engine 106, Truck 13, and Ambulance 48, who worked closely with Captain Meyer more recently, this loss is very personal. I know he was in the 4th District. I had the opportunity to work with him as his deputy, but he's impacted all of our lives. The memories of him will carry you forward through this difficult time. I encourage you to rely on your memories of his unwavering reliability and approach to this job to help carry his legacy forward. Dave was a member of numerous fire companies and touched many lives throughout his career with CFD, leaving a lasting impression everywhere he went. To the entire department, this is yet another tremendous loss that has shaken us to our core. However, we will get through this together. We are CFD strong. While that might seem like a phrase, I know without a doubt that it truly represents who each and every one of us are. Captain Meyer's spirit will live on in every firefighter and paramedic who runs toward danger, in every life saved, and in every moment where courage overcomes fear. He taught us the true meaning of bravery, and for that, we will be forever grateful. Thank you for sharing him with the Chicago Fire Department. Captain David John Meyer, we honor you. Let's give him a round of applause, please. Thank you. I know he doesn't like it, but I'm the boss. I can do what I want to do for now. So, we will never forget you. You will always be in our hearts. May you rest in peace, brother. We'll take it from here. Thank you, everybody.
And I would invite forward retired Chicago firefighter Kevin Casey.
I'm not used to doing this, public speaking, so it'll become evident in a few minutes. Please forgive me. I was asked to say something about my pal, Dave Meyer. You know, I had him for about 10 years as a partner on Chicago's Great West Side. I was trying to think of something incredible to say about him, but he was very, very unremarkable. He was probably the hardest working person I'd ever met, but I don't really know if he ever worked a day in his life. I mean, he was an incredible carpenter, gifted. You know, he could build anything. And if there was a problem, they always looked at Dave, and Dave would just shrug his shoulders. Well, do you want me to fix it or no? And as far as the fire department was concerned, he was just going to a picnic with 14 of his best friends for the weekend. You know, I mean, it wasn't really like a job. And an old man told me one time, if you do something that you truly love, you never work a day in your life. He was as warm a person as I've ever met, an extremely honest workman. He, hey, can I see one of those pieces of paper? Boy. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not real good at this. What is it about Dave? Dave's the person who, what is a fireman? A fireman is just something, he was strong as a country horse. He was agile. He had the balance of a mountain goat. Oh, and he had the ability to tease you or bust your onions. He was a very, very, usually I can come up with these words, but I'm not real good at it right now. Anyway, he would tie a knot in the devil's tail. On the day that he died, the hardest part, I guess, was just watching the Cowboys cry. You go to work in the morning, and we face it every day. We happen to see people pass away every day, and it becomes part of our life. And when it's one of ours, there's really quite nothing like it. The people on our fire department, the men and the women, I watched them hug each other, and I thought, gosh, that's great. That's who we are. He came to the firehouse and he told us stories about, in very loving words, about his wife, his children, and his parents. And it's not easy. I mean, most of us that are married understand that this ain't no cakewalk. And if you sit across to me all day, you're going to tell me what happened and what's going on. So there isn't a whole lot of secrets in our firehouse. The sad part about this all is that this was just a routine job, but it's something that happens every day to somebody. Only this time it happened to one of ours. It's a dangerous job. I'm very sorry I'm not doing this as nice as I'd like to have. But in our profession, and it is our profession, the purity of our performance is in the performance of our duty. And at that moment, we are all perfect. I would like you all to please at least remember that every move that this man made was effortless. And this is just one of those things that we're going to have to grow old with. So go home, Dave. Go home to your father. And thank you very much for being part of our Great West Side.
I would invite forward the members of Engine 96 and Truck 29.
You guys hear me okay? We had the honor of working alongside our captain, Dave Meyer, on Truck 29. Dave was a man of many distinctions. As we all know, he was a loving husband, a proud father and poppy, son, brother, a legendary firefighter, a true friend to so many, and so much more. But when it comes to speaking on how amazing of a man Dave was, these titles don't do it justice. Dave embodied everything a Chicago firefighter is and should be. The bravest of us all, a true leader in every sense of the word, and always the first one to jump at the chance to make a difference. His love and passion for this job was evident, but one thing was held higher for him. That was his family. He talked and shared stories about his wife, 4 children, and grandchild every single day at the firehouse. The love he had for them was heard in every single word he shared. He was truly a role model in every aspect of his life. One of the first things he noticed about Dave was his humor. It was relentless and contagious, constantly having those around him laughing. It was almost impossible to get a joke at Dave's expense because he was already poking fun at himself first, always beating us to the punch. He was always the first to remind us that even in tough times, there's still room for a laugh. He filled the firehouse with an overwhelming amount of joy, fun, day in and day out. We recently found out that Dave had a saying he would share with his family. Pardon my language. Don't be an asshole today. He even had a sign with this motto on it. It was so simple, but so true to how he lived his life. It was classic Dave. Blunt, honest, and exactly what you needed to hear. He kept us grounded without ever taking life too seriously. No matter how busy our day was, Dave had this never-ending energy to him. His motor never quit. He was the fastest guy on the fire ground always. By the time you blinked, he was already at the front door doing work. The more you tried to match his pace, the faster he got. He effortlessly outworked those around him, and he did it with a smile on his face, usually followed by a wisecrack or two. Dave's tenure as our captain of Truck 29 wasn't long, but from day one, he grew on us so quickly that it felt like he was our captain for years. Our Lieutenant Pete Streff of Engine 96 shared a story with me as he was consoling Dave's wife, Kristen. He was telling her how great of a man Dave was and how we all loved him dearly. She responded to him, "Well, Dave really grows on you." These words couldn't be more true. Dave's infectious passion and love for everything he did in his life grew on us. Knowing and being around Dave helped us grow as individuals and a brotherhood. He changed our lives for the better, and he will continue to help us grow. His memory will always be held closely as an example of an exceptional husband, father, poppy, firefighter, and friend. Recently at our firehouse, we compiled a list of classic movies to watch during our free time. But to quote a classic, heroes get remembered, but legends never die. Dave, you were truly a hero and a legend. Not only will you be remembered, but your legacy will live on forever. You will always be with us. To the Meyer family, we will always be here for you. And Emerson, Remember, pizza nights at the firehouse are on Saturdays, so we're going to need your help making the dough because we know you have the best recipe. Rest easy, Dave. We will do our best to take it from here and try not to be assholes today. We love you, brother, and on behalf of another great officer and your good friend, and the members of Engine 96 and Truck 29, we would like to give you your final caw. So, if anyone would like to join. Caw! Thank you.
I would invite forward the members of Engine 106 and Truck 13.
First, I want to start by thanking Dave's family for sharing him with us at Engine 106 and Truck 13 for the past 3 years. He was a fantastic officer. He was calm, fair, and he made it a joy to come to work. His sense of humor was unmatched, and we can always count on Dave to crack a joke, come up with a silly prank to lighten the mood. Ask anyone on our shift, no one was safe from Dave's hijinks. What's worse, you could never truly get him back. He had eyes in the back of his head. Dave was downright diabolical when it came to pranks, but they were never mean-spirited. His jokes were always perfectly timed, and he kept things light. That was the thing about Dave. It was never a dull day working with him. He knew exactly how to bring levity to the reality of our job. And even with all of that, when the alarm went off, Dave was a true professional. He was knowledgeable, hardworking, level-headed. He had this effortless form of leadership that made you want to climb a mountain for him. He was always the first guy in the rig, but even more importantly, he was the first one off. If you weren't ready to go, as soon as he pulled up on scene, then good luck keeping up with him. We all had to get faster to keep Dave's pace. He had high expectations for us, for all of us on our shift, but he made us want to rise to them. He was hard on us for the right reasons, and we always knew that Dave had our backs, would stick up for his guys through anything. We're all better firefighters because of Dave. As much as Dave was a dedicated firefighter, he was even more devoted to his family. Dave loved his wife, Kristen, their 4 children, Michael, Haley, Alyssa, and Caitlin, and his granddaughter, Emerson. He would talk about his family all the time. His strong marriage was a point of pride for him. His granddaughter Emerson was the light of his life, and he loved being her papa. We heard about Emerson all the time, and he loved how close they were. I remember the first spring Dave worked with us at Truck 13. Dave's youngest daughter, Caitlin, was competing in a track meet at Lane Tech, and he was dead set on seeing her race, even though we were on shift. So that day, our truck sat for a few minutes right outside the stadium, and Caitlin got an additional 5 firefighters in her cheering section. There's no way Dave was missing it. Family meant everything to him. It was bittersweet when Dave left our truck a few weeks ago to go to Truck 29. We knew we were going to miss him when he left, but now there are no words to describe the feelings we have. It's a comfort to know his legacy will live on in all the people whose lives he touched. Dave will forever be remembered for his larger-than-life personality, his never-ending generosity, and his heart. I know I speak for all of us on our shift when I say we are proud to have been a part of his department family, and it was an honor and a privilege to have served with him.
I would invite forward Dave's friend Rob.
How do you put into words the kind of person Dave Meyer was? I met Dave at Ground Zero after 9/11, and we built a bond of friendship. He wasn't just a friend, he was family. Anyone who ever met Dave knew it instantly. They felt it. That was the connection. Doesn't matter if you knew him for 5 minutes or 5 years, you felt like you've known him forever. Dave didn't just make an impression, he made a place for everybody. Dave had a way about him, simple, and I'm not going to say it the right way because he always said it. What's up, buddy? He always said that. And somehow just hearing that made you feel at ease. That's true friendship. That's exactly who Dave was. Every year, without fail, Dave would call me on September 11th. It wasn't about remembering the past. It was about Dave just being Dave. Reaching out, checking in, making sure you were there when you needed him. Kristen, Michael, Haley, Lisa, Aylin, nothing I can say is going to make this easier. But if you ever wonder where you can find Dave, you got to look inside yourselves. The heart he had, the strength he lived with, it's in every one of you and always will be. Dave, can you hear me? Thank you for always being there through it all, the hard times, the good times, and everyone in between. I love you, brother. Never be forgotten. Till we meet again.
I'd invite forward Joel Burns, please.
You know, it's not often that I get afforded the opportunity to talk longer than Kevin Casey. That is truly an honor. Love you, brother. And I promised my wife that I would not drop any F-bombs. I would do my level best. But after the asshole comment, I think I'm... You guys got me? All right. So good morning. My name is Joel Burns. I am one of the chiefs of the 18th Battalion. Dave Meyer was my friend. I met Dave shortly after he came on the fire department. I had a roofing company. Dave had his construction company. I was his roofer. And I liked him so much that eventually I started working for him. There's an elephant in the room. We never talk about it. Anybody sitting out here that wears a badge, the families that love them and support them, know about it. But we don't talk about it. The elephant is that on any morning when we say goodbye, it might be exactly that. The last time we ever say goodbye. Dave knew it. We know it. So what do? Get yourself a go-to guy. My wife knows anything ever would have happened to me, go to Dave, because Dave was a fixer. No matter what it was, as far as a builder, he was an exceptional carpenter, mechanic. I was with Dave riding the motorcycles. We were in the Badlands in the desert. One of the guys in the group blew a transmission. Dave fixed it on the spot in the desert, fixed the transmission. I'm not talking about checking the level of fluid. I'm talking about jerking the transmission out of the motorcycle and fixing it. Unbelievable. And if Dave didn't know how to do it, he had a guy. You call Dave, Dave, I need a tile guy, I need an electrician, I need a drywall. Dave had a guy. So the one day I'm working for Meyer Builders, and I'm doing a job, and I'm there by myself cutting trim, and I run my hand into the chop saw, and I almost take my thumb off. Luckily, we had the Meyer Builders medical kit there, which consisted of a half a roll of paper towels and some electrical tape. I was able to secure my thumb, and I take myself to the hospital, and en route I call Dave. I say, Dave, the homeowner is freaking out. There's blood all over the wall. You gotta get over there and get this thing cleaned up. Dave was at the firehouse. But no worries, Dave had a guy. He sent Kristen over to get the blood out. My wife and I were down in Florida. It snowed here in Chicago. Mother-in-law is watching our house. She's freaking out. You would have thought it was the blizzard to beat all. I called Dave. We lived in a corner house. Dave went over and shoveled the walk. My niece ran out of gas one time. It was not too far from Dave's house. I couldn't help her. I called Dave. He went over there, brought her gas, followed her to the gas station, gave her a couple of bucks to make sure she had enough to get home. Another time I'm working for Dave, and believe it or not, I was actually a halfway decent carpenter myself. I know you won't believe it with the stories. But I'm working with Dave, I shoot a 16-penny nail into my hand. So now I'm standing here walking around with this nail in my hand, and I say, what are we gonna do? And Dave says, no problem, I'll fix it. He gets out the Meyer medical kit. He comes at me with a pair of pliers. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So Dave says, listen, stop, I gotta hold it because I might not get it in one try. Whoa, calm down. So Dave built this thing out of 2x4s. I put my hand in it, pulls the nail out. We get the aforementioned Meyer Builders medical kit, a little paper towel, electrical tape. We're right back to work. That was my guy, man. He was notorious, and some of the guys that worked with him, for going on material runs. He would set us up and he'd say, I gotta go on a material run. Say, Jesus, Dave, come on with the material run. He would go on the run and he would bring back a large coffee for me. Dave didn't drink coffee, he was a Coca-Cola guy. But he would bring back a large coffee for me. He'd say, here, buddy, does this make it better? Yes, it does. The days I would show up to the side job hungover, he would bring me a 2-liter of Mountain Dew because it had the most caffeine in it. That was Dave. And Dave always left a job undone in his own house. Chris and I were talking about it the other day. Piece of trim, piece of baseboard, whatever it was. Because Dave knew what we all knew, that when he met Kristen, he outkicked the coverage. And he knew that if he finished all the jobs in the house, that she would smarten up and kick him to the curb. So he always left the project, at least one, undone. Dave was also a giver. He was a giver of his talents. He was a giver of his time. He was a giver of his home, not only here in Chicago, but up north. At what he would say was the lake, which I would correct him because technically it's on the Fox River, so I would always correct him to that, and he hated it. He'd say, Dave, you live in a river house, not a lake house. And on Christmas Eve, he used to refer to it as the island of misfit toys. If you didn't have a place to go, you could go to Dave and Kristen's house. He would open his home to you, and you were welcome like you were family. And that's a very rare thing to find. The boat rides on the chain, my wife and I would sit out on our little fire pit, and Dave's boat was fire engine red. You could see it coming for a mile. Dave would pull up at my house, and it was like the mystery guest of who was going to be on the boat this weekend. And because that's just the way he was. He invited anybody and everybody was welcome. So it was always interesting with who Dave was going to roll up with. His loves in life, riding his motorcycle, fishing, taking time away with the family, whether it was in Florida or up at the River House. And Miller High Life, okay? Nobody drinks Miller High Life. And I would tease him about it all the time, but Dave said it was the champagne of beers. So today, have one on him, or for him rather. Dave's big three loves: the fire department. Dave loved being a fireman, and not only a fireman, a Chicago fireman. Dave transferred out to the west side. He came from Rogers Park in the 9th Battalion. Pat Mahoney and I came up with this thing, and we referred to it as Poughkeepsie, because coming to the 13th Battalion on the west side was like playing for the New York Yankees. And the 9th Battalion, Poughkeepsie, was the minor league team for the Yankees. Oh, take it easy. Father, you got me? Sorry, boys. But we never, ever let him forget that he came from the 9th and transferred to the 13th. And Dave loved telling fire stories. He would come to the side job and he'd say, hey, we had a fire last night. He'd say, Dave, I don't want to hear about any fire stories. I sure don't want to hear about a first shift fire story. Please, Let's talk about anything else. Let's talk about baseball. You see the Cub game? Dave would say, yeah, I saw the Cub game. Let's talk about the Cub game. And we'd start to talk about the Cub game. Dave would say, you know, I was watching that Cub game. You know what it made me think of? This fire that we had the other day. That was my guy. His children, Michael, Haley, Caitlin, Alyssa, his granddaughter. Dave wasn't perfect by any stretch. Wasn't great with a filter. You always knew where you stood with him. Sometimes that rubbed people a little bit the wrong way. God knows I know that. But I tell you this, he was never prouder of you. And everything he ever did what he thought was right, came from here. Don't ever forget that, okay? And certainly not last is Kristen. To use a corny phrase, he loved you more than the air he breathed. He was your rock, you were his everything. You know that. What I used to love doing was when I'd be over at the house and Kristen would talk about, you know, I was thinking about knocking a hole in a wall or putting a window here, and Dave would be behind her like. And I would listen and I would say, Chris, I think that's a great idea. And we would get outside and Dave would say, oh, what's the matter with you? I mean, you guys ain't even got me covered for what he would tell me when we got outside. But, oh, God, I used to love to do that to him. And I would tell him that he would come in and say, well, Kristen's mad at me. I'd say, well, what'd you do wrong? He'd say, well, how come it's always me that does something wrong? I said, because, bro, they're going to name a church after that woman putting up with your nonsense. And he knew he outkicked the coverage. I reminded him of it in case he didn't. So I'm going to leave you with this. This is how I want you to remember Dave. My brother is the captain of Engine 119. Not even a week ago. He's at the firehouse. They call him on the PA and they say, Cap, you got a visitor. Comes up to the front of the firehouse and there's nobody there. He says, well, who was it? I don't know. It was some guy in a gray work van. Okay. Chicago Fire Department, every fire company has what's called a company journal. They write the day's events in the journal. But my brother goes to write something in the journal, and here is half of the journal stapled together. He cannot figure it out. Well, he got his answer the next day. Dave sends him a text. No words. It was a picture of a stapler remover. That is how I will remember my brother Dave. So rest easy, brother. We'll take it from here.
And invite forward Scott.
Good morning. I don't know how I'm going to follow that act, but I followed Joel Burns' acts a couple times and tried to do my best, so I'm going to try to do my best here also. So I'm Dave's neighbor. I'm his friend. I'm a fellow Chicago firefighter brother. Whenever Chicago firefighters killed in the line of duty, I would always get texts or phone calls from my relatives, my brother. And the first question would be like, hey, did you know that guy that got killed last night? Or the guy that got injured? And over the years, I've answered that question several different ways. My responses have varied from, yeah, I worked with him a couple times, to, I know who he is, but I really don't know him personally, to, yeah, I've never heard his name before in my life.
A couple of years ago when we lost another brother, Dan Capuano, I wrote a social media post on Facebook about this exact same thing, and it reads exactly as follows. Usually when a firefighter dies in the line of duty, the first question people ask is, did you know him? And although I may not have known him personally, I can tell you a few things about him. He was a firefighter just like me. He shared the same love of the job as I do. He would put himself before anyone or anything just to help those in need. He has a wife and kids who are going to miss him tremendously, and a fire department family who will never forget him. So no, I may not have known him personally, but I can tell you I knew exactly who he was, and I knew exactly what he was all about. Rest in peace, Dan. Prayers to you and your family. So I just want to take a couple minutes. I want to break down that post, and I want to try to see how it fits into our situation where we're at today. So I started out by saying he was a firefighter just like me. I can tell you that with Dave, that wasn't always the case. You see, when I first met Dave, it was when I bought my house across the street from him in 1998. I was able to meet the people who sold me the house, and they told me, hey, the guy across the street from you, he's a fireman. And I said, oh, this should be good. I could maybe have somebody I could talk to who has something in common. So at the time, Dave was doing work on his house also. They were doing some renovations, and I'd often see him outside, either on the roof or hanging siding or pouring concrete. And I would come home and I would look at him, and he would look at me with that little side look with a smirk on his face. I'd kind of give him the what's up head bob, and he'd give me the what's up head bob back as I could feel him chewing me apart, judging me in every single way. So one day I worked up the courage to go meet him, and I went across the street and I said, hey, I'm Scott, I'm your new neighbor, I bought the house across the street. He said, hey, I'm Dave. I said, I hear you're a fireman, you work for the fire department. He goes, yeah. I go, where are you at? He said, truck 47. I said, that's cool, I work for the fire department too. He goes, well, where are you at? I said, I'm a paramedic in ambulance 45. He paused and looked at me and he goes, you're a medic? And I said, yeah. And he went like this. And he walked away. What I will tell you is that began a 27-year relationship that included constant ribbing. You've heard a little bit about that from past speakers. Constant ribbing and smack talk. Practical jokes, family vacations, holiday parties, and even tears from laughing so hard we were crying together. And we also shared some tears of sadness together. So what I will tell you is, yes, he was a fireman just like me, but Dave was so much more. So let me just start with a couple small things. The constant ribbing and smack talk. Anybody out there who worked with Dave, knew Dave on a personal level, the constant ribbing and smack talk was non-stop. It even got so bad at times that Dave and I would be going at it. We would be going nose to nose with each other. And I remember a couple times my wife pulled me aside and she says, are you guys serious, or are you just joking around? And I looked at her and I go, I really don't know. I really don't know. But at the end, we would look at each other, we would laugh, and we'd walk away. That's just how that worked. Practical jokes. How many stories have we heard so far about practical jokes? Dave was the practical joker, was he not? When it comes to practical jokes, there's a line in the sand, right? There's appropriate and inappropriate. Dave would go to that line, he would brush that line off. He'd go about 10 feet past that line, he'd draw a new line. And if you looked at him, he'd look at you and go, what? And that's where it started, right? That was where he started. So practical jokes, I can tell you this. I don't know how many of you have ever had your car saran wrapped. Front to back, top to bottom, side to side. Went out to go to get in my car to go to work one morning, and I looked at it and I go, what the heck is this? So here I am at 5:30 in the morning trying with a pair of scissors trying to cut my car out. Finally got it undone. I get in the car and I start driving away. Cell phone rings. Dave Meyer. This is 5:30 in the morning. Hey, what's up? He's laughing so hysterically he can barely talk. Hey, have any problems getting in your car this morning? Click. Dave did the second floor addition on my house. When we were doing this, we had to dig up a tree, a bush. When Dave finished the shell of my house and the roofers were getting ready to go, put the roof on, Polish guy standing outside, he's looking, they're looking upside up and they're laughing. What are you guys laughing about? Just look. The tree that we dug out of my front yard was in my chimney. I said, can you guys take that down? The guy says, no, it's good luck, it's staying there. Please take it down. I think Joel Burns might have played a part in that tree, wherever you are out there. So lo and behold, no, it stayed up there. It stayed up there until I got it down. That tree made it back and forth until one day I planted it in the middle of his backyard. Things got out of hand slightly with those practical jokes. We actually had to come to a truce. We actually had to come to a truce because we had to cut it off somewhere. There was some limit, right? And what we decided was that the insides of our houses were off limits. See, he felt it coming because they were going away on vacation in a week or so, and myself and a bunch of our neighbors, we were going to rearrange the furniture in his house. And what I'm telling you, I don't mean we were just going to move his couch to a different wall. We were going to put his couch in his living room, in his bedroom in the basement, and rearrange his house. He's lucky he got to me before that happened. So family vacations, yes, family vacations. We went everywhere, right? Mexico, Myrtle Beach, Florida, countless trips to Wisconsin with the kids, right? Holiday parties. Joel mentioned Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve was spent at the Meyers. That's just what we did. So again, yes, Dave was a fireman, but he was so much more than that. So next thing was he shared the same love of the job as I do. I can tell you this, Dave was a great firefighter. One of the things I saw as I was walking through the funeral home yesterday was that Sun-Times article that says, "Amazing rescue," right? And there he is in the background. Joel Burns said he didn't like to tell fire stories to him, but he told them to me. We oftentimes would meet up in the morning, we'd come home at the same time, we'd get out of our cars, and that's where we debriefed. We told stories. He told me about all the fires he went to. I told him all the fires I missed. And that's just the way it was, right? He was a great firefighter. I think that his knowledge and skills as a carpenter really helped him excel in that, right? He understood how buildings went together. He understood how buildings were taken apart also. We used to call him a spider monkey. You guys often have seen this, right? He could run the roof, he could run the ridge of a roof like nobody's business. He could climb a tree with no ladder. Unbelievably agile and do it effortlessly. He was a great teacher and mentor to younger firefighters. He was always willing to share his knowledge with anybody who asked. So yes, Dave did share the same love of the job as I do. He was gosh darn good at it too. That was where I ended my speech, and the rest isn't notes, so bear with me as I try to get through this. So he put himself before anybody or anything just to help those in need. I don't think there's anything that I can say at this point that already hasn't been said. He did that every single day when he went to work, didn't he? And again, he did it with a smile on his face, and he did it because he wanted to. He was an amazing problem solver, as you've often heard. He was the first person on my list. He was my go-to guy. Hey man, my sink's plugged. Hey, can you hang a door for me? He goes, dude, I just hung a door for you last week and I showed you how to do it. I said, I know, show me one more time. Show me one more time. And he would. He did it. Yeah, I'll get there. He he would hang the door, and then I'd say, hey, can you put the trim up too? But like Kristen's house, he'd say, yeah, I'll be back for that in a couple of days. A month later, he would do it. But he did it. So he had a wife so the next thing. He has a wife and kids. They're going to miss him dearly. A fire department family will never, ever forget him. Kristen, Michael, Haley, Aylin, I know that you have a huge hole in your heart. So do we. But I want you to look around the room right now. I want you to look at all these people. You saw it yesterday. You saw it yesterday when everybody was walking by, right? All of these people are here for you. They're here for the girls, Michael. We may not be able to fill that hole that's there right now, but maybe we can make it a little softer. You just gathered 5,000 more friends, more than you ever known. They'll be there for you. He has a fire department family who's never, ever going to forget him. As I look out at my brothers out there, I don't think that needs any explanation, does it? We're never going to let him forget. We're never going to let him forget, and we're never going to let them forget you either. So as I wrapped it up in my original article, my original Facebook post, it said, rest in peace. Rest in peace, Dave. Prayers to you and your family. We are always going to be here for you.
I'd invite Dave's children forward.
Good morning. Sorry, I'm bad at public speaking. Thank you to all who have traveled far distances and those in the community who have come together to remember our dad. David John Meyer was an amazing father to me and my three siblings, a devoted grandfather and a loving husband to our mom for the past 32 years. And losing him has been incredibly hard on everyone in our family and those in this room. My dad wasn't just physically present in our lives. He showed us his love throughout all the thoughtful gestures that made each moment feel special. One of my favorite memories of my dad happened after I was hit by a car. I had just gotten out of the X-ray room, and honestly, I was feeling pretty rough, physically and emotionally. My dad asked me what he could do to make me feel better, and I told him I really wanted a specific type of ice cream. Most people would have said, let's just grab whatever's close, but not my dad. He drove me around, not to one, not to two, but 3 different ice cream places, trying to find exactly what I wanted. We finally ended up at Steak and Shake, hoping they'd have it. They didn't. But instead of giving up, Dad got creative. He bought a chocolate shake and a banana shake and mixed them right there in the car. He handed it to me like it was a 5-star dessert, smiling like he solved the world's biggest problem. It was the best ice cream I ever had. Not because of how it tasted, but because of what it meant. It meant he loved me enough to go out of his way without complaining, just to bring me a little bit of happiness when I needed it most. That's the kind of man my dad was. Patient, selfless, loving in all the small ways, loving in the small, everyday ways that meant everything. I'll always remember that day and the love behind that banana chocolate shake for the rest of my life. That same quiet, unwavering love showed up in so many other ways too, especially when it came to my sister Alyssa.
Also, apologies, I hate public speaking. If you ever wanted to understand the kind of father mine was, you just had to come to one of my skating competitions. It didn't matter if he was working at the firehouse or if he just finished a long shift, he was there every single time. Without a fail, he'd show up with flowers in one hand and a Starbucks strawberry refresher in the other just for me. It became our little tradition. He knew I got nervous before skating, so he would hide somewhere in the stadium, just out of sight. He didn't want to distract me, he just wanted to be there, quietly supporting me in the background. I learned later that the whole time I was out on the ice, he'd be pacing back and forth, heart racing, worrying for me, cheering me on in his own quiet way, until I landed the last jump or finished the last spin. It's hard to put into words what kind of love it feels like. It's steady. Hello. It's steady, it's patient, it's unconditional. As most of you know, my dad always loved to have a good time, to laugh at either pulling pranks or just telling some of the jokes. I'm sure many of you here have fallen victim to one of those pranks. We all have loved.
The Schwalb's printer ran out of ink, guys, so we're struggling over here.
When I was in 6th grade, I had fallen down our friend's concrete stairs and ended up getting really hurt. My mom, having witnessed the fall, called my dad at the time. And they told him they were calling an ambulance, to which he responded, "Does she really need one?" My mom said, "Yes, she does." My dad somehow made it happen and left the firehouse to meet us at the hospital. That night, when we were home, he removed my mattress from my bed and put it on the floor and slept next to me. He had to wake me up every 2 hours to make sure I was okay, which was something I did not enjoy. Once I was semi-healed, he took us back to our friend's house when they were not home and made me lay upside down on the steps. He needed to outline my body with white chalk and put caution tape and cones around it to make it look like a crime scene. Yeah. Our dad loved us deeply while also making sure that we had a good time and always found a way to make us laugh, even when it was sometimes at our own expense.
Hi, everyone. No, I'm Dave's son, and if you can't tell, I definitely look like him. I've heard that from more than most of my life, that I look like my father. Hearing it the past couple days, it really means a lot, because I was definitely my father's son. I was stubborn, hard-headed, definitely a pain in the ass. He always had that great sense of all hear about. And it definitely started on day one. If you didn't know, my name's Michael. He wanted to name me Harley because his name was David. He'd say, "Hey, there's Harley, David's son." So, he never wanted to let me live that one down, so instead he named me Michael, and now I'm named Michael Meyer, so go figure. But The one thing I can say about my dad, stand up here and I look out, is I see different parts of my life from all different areas, whether fire department, friends from school, his friends from school that are family members. He made connections that are going to last us. Made friends with everybody. Everybody was family. And I can't thank him for how to live our lives, how to just be there. I'm gonna miss him very much. No one like my dad. I love you, Dad. I miss you. We're all gonna miss you because nobody can be you.
And brothers and sisters, let us stand and pray as one family to God who is our Father. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And dear brothers and sisters, before we go our separate ways, let us take leave of our brother David. May our farewell express affection for him. May our farewell ease our sadness, and may it strengthen our hope. And may we have the confidence as sons and daughters of so good a God and Father to know that one day we shall joyfully greet David again when he calls all of us home to that place of rest, repose, and eternal happiness called paradise. Our Lord tells us in the Sermon on the Mount, "Blessed are they who mourn, for they will be comforted." May God comfort you in your mourning. May God comfort all of us in our mourning. We'll never be able to love you as much as your husband and your father did and still does. We'll never be able to love you as much as your son and brother did and still does. We're going to try like hell too. And we will be here for you every step of the way. All of us here had a guy in Dave, right? Well, now, from the commissioner's office to every single firehouse in this city, to every single home of the members of the Chicago Fire Department, and to the millions of hearts and the people of this city, we love you. And we will keep loving you. And we will be here for you. You got a guy. A couple million times over. Be assured of our love and prayers for you every single day, every step of the way. And uniformed members, I'd invite you to please reassemble outside.